Baby Ooh and the First Halloween by Tytarchuk Fedir Alexandrovych. Halloween! Halloween! Shouted little Ooh, racing excitedly around the burrow. His tiny feet pattered across the floor as he searched for his costume. Where's my sheet? How are we going to scare them? Mum and Dad exchanged uneasy glances as they dressed in their worn Halloween disguises. When are we leaving? The little one chirped, darting between their legs. I'll climb the trees, throw leaves at people's heads and laugh real scary. Like this! Bwaha-ha! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Yes, you do it very well, Mum said, though her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. The source of their sadness flew right over Oo's head. He was too focused on the night ahead, too full of anticipation to notice. We've been thinking, Mum began gently, her tone heavy with hesitation. You're still too young. It's not time yet for you to go out into the human world. Especially not tonight, Dad added firmly. But you promised, Ooh protested. I'm already 120 years old. You always say I'm too small, that I'm not ready, that humans are scarier than forest spirits. But I don't believe it. He crossed his arms, planting his feet in defiance. You're lying. I'm going to find out for myself. Mum and Dad looked at each other and sighed. Children are so difficult, muttered Dad Especially the little ones, Mum agreed. We're only trying to protect you, Dad said gently. It's dangerous up there. Why? What's so dangerous? Ooh pressed. Everyone in the burrow says humans are awful, that they bring disasters and misfortune, that we used to live above ground before they came. They're right, Dad nodded solemnly. So what happened? And now, Mum said softly, we live deep underground. She sighed. When I was small, only 100 years older than you, the first humans appeared. And what happened? Ooh asked, eyes wide with curiosity. We moved underground. It was the only way to stay safe. And fools like you, Dad pointed at him, who go to the surface and try to reclaim the world. They never come back. The little one was quiet for a moment, confused. Then why are you going? He finally asked. Why not just stay here? Read me a story about Uncle Chris and his merry adventures. It's tradition, Dad said with a bittersweet smile, ruffling his hair. We must go. It's been that way for centuries, Mum added. We have no choice. It's our duty. Half an hour later, they left the house, locking the door behind them and forbidding Ooh from going anywhere near it. But doubt had already taken root. They're hiding something from me, Ooh whispered to himself. It can't all be true. No way. I have to see for myself. Just a peek. Just a minute. Where's my sheet? Aha! Got it! He wrapped the old embroidered sheet around himself, opened a window, crawled through, and crept up towards the surface world. He emerged in a dark alleyway, unnoticed by anyone. Not far ahead, a crowd had gathered in a square, surrounding an empty pedestal. Sparks flew into the sky, and people in wild costumes danced and shouted. They tried to mimic ghosts with exaggerated movements and weird noises. It wasn't scary at all. It was funny. Ooh giggled behind his sheet, watching the humans clumsily imitate creatures like him. He wandered closer, caught up in the excitement. Then, without thinking, He let out his own eerie, bone-chilling laugh. The sound cut through the noise like a blade. The crowd fell silent. Heads turned. Every eye in the square focused on the tiny figure in the embroidered sheet. "Look at this little one," called out a thin man in a jester's hat. "Right," another laughed, staggering over and spilling beer. "Who is this guy?" He leaned in with a grin, reeking of alcohol. Uuhu froze. His eyes widened. Oh no, the worst-case scenario. "Students!" Uuhu screamed at the top of his lungs. "Students! Run for your lives! Save yourselves!" His shriek echoed through the square as he bolted, the tipsy crowd erupting with laughter and giving chase, thinking it was all part of the act. Behind him, the students cheered and howled, their footsteps thundering in pursuit. And little Uuhu? He ran faster than he'd ever run before, realizing, maybe, just maybe, Mum and Dad EA had a point after all.